Michael Storm, anarchist of comic books, co-owner of Amazing Fantasies comic book shop here in Topeka, Kansas, and I am back to do a bag opening and a review at the same time. I don't think I've done that before, but I thought it would work really well to do it with this one because there's a nice bag, and I just did that thing about all the other... I should have waited. I should have held this bag because this would have changed maybe some of my opinion about the way they've been handling things, because it's obvious that this has been done really well. I'm very happy with the way they presented these bags. But what about what's in it? What about the content of the bag? What about the content of the book that's in the bag? We'll review it, and I think that'll be a great thing to do. I don't do a lot of the Marvel and DC, and most of the stuff I end up doing is independent because, well, who needs to talk about Marvel and DC, right? They're the big guys. They've been doing it all along, and they get all the press. Somebody's always paying attention to what they're doing and talking about what they're doing. But I'm not above it. That doesn't mean that they're below me either. I love Marvel and DC, for the best and worst of what they do. And I will get into this thing and open it up, and I'll tell you about the book in just a second. I want you to do me a favor real quick, though. Click that like button, tap that like button, get out Moliere, and smash that like button like it's never been smashed before. Let us know that you're out there. And if you're ever in Topeka, Kansas, swing by the store. You'll love it. It's a fantastic place, and we love to do deals, and we love to see smiles on faces, and our comic books start at $1. So there's tens of thousands of comic books on the floor. They're $2 daily, but if you show up on a Tuesday, you can get them for $1. And that's just one of any deals. We're always happy. We have independents. We have, of course, the big guys, and we have a local section that we're trying to grow. It's tougher than it should be. If you're a local artist to Topeka or in the surrounding area here, come in the store. We've only, over the years, had literally a couple of people approach us about, hey, do you have space in your store to put these books out there? And we do. And we will make more if more people come to us with them. So, please do that. So let's do this thing. After you click that like button, let's open this bag and talk about this book. It's a long overdue thing. This premise was established back in Venom 250, so we're talking about 9 months ago or something like that. It's been quite a while ago. It was back in 2025, and they suggested that this, taking the power away from Knull and having this big battle, and these were all starting to form, and there was Knull is already captured. They already must have this idea by then, because in that 250, Knull is already a prisoner of Hela, and he's already much of his power is taken away from him, or at least temporarily anyway. And then they announced, I think at Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, that they would do this, that it would be this big summer crossover event that they would do. And so here we are. It showed up. It's Al Ewing. It's Iban Coella. I hope I'm saying Iban right. I don't know for sure, but Iban Coella on the art, and that's just the main title. There are other ones. There's the Queen in Black title. That's what's in this bag. It should be anyway. What's in this bag? It is they call this the True Believers blind bag, which they're using that name again, which the best blind bag presentation so far. If you saw my feedback on the whole bunch of different bags that I opened that have been released over the last year and a half, 2 years, something like that, and just sort of looking at them to see if they're getting any better, if the content of them was getting any better, if the packaging itself was getting better, if the very notion of what they're trying to do was actually being realized. When I did that video that says I should have waited and added this one, I didn't know that we would get such a good blind bag presentation. Really, truly, when we're talking about they wanted to package these things sort of like baseball cards, like cards. Well, and this is, even the wrapping is quite a bit more like it than a lot of them have been. They've been sort of sealed over flaps or just heat sealed top and bottom things. This here is more like a card pack, and these were delivered in a box of 20. So there were 19 copies of the blind bag itself, and you could buy the blind bag separately, but there was these boxes, and it looks just like a card box. I should have brought it with me. It looks just like a card box. These are put in there just like a card box. And there was 20 issues. One of them was a special to the box. And it's even packaged in a clear package so you can see what it is right away. And they guaranteed some things. They guaranteed that there was at least one set of the connecting covers in each box. So again, much more like a card presentation than what they've done before. And the closest thing that they came to that was the Daredevil blind bag that they had done. That was also True Believers blind bag, I guess. I think they'll stick with that. Why not? It's something that everyone recognizes. Certainly if they're a Marvel fan, you recognize it. So in the bag we have one copy of Queen in Black #1 with one of the following covers. And I have seen a couple of covers already. I've seen the Girihiru, was it Jeff cover, and I don't know. I don't know if the Stegman design is different than the A cover. That's the A cover. This is, Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates are the ones who created Knull, and his first appearance back in Venom #3, 2018. This is right about the height of my beginning to own a comic book shop and run a comic book shop on a daily basis, and so it's all right in the perfect time for me to know about it and talk about it with a little bit more knowledge than I might otherwise. But they created it, and actually this is this is a Knull cover. This is Stegman doing an homage to himself of his own cover from Knull's first appearance, and it's a great little cover, but I don't know if it's the same one that's in here, how that'll play out. There are a couple of different covers. There's the Stegman cover. That's the A cover, and then there's a Campbell cover. Fantastic. Exactly what it's supposed to be. And then there are also some other titles. There are a couple of tie-ins as well, and I only have one of them here. I could have brought the Defenders one, but I didn't bring it. But I did grab the Hela, and I don't have the Venom yet. But Peach Momoko, fantastic cover. And one of the things about these crossovers I've started to mention is that they can be kind of weak sometimes, and I'll give you an example. I don't want to point any fingers at anybody, but there's some of these crossovers, they just don't get the attention that they might. I'm sorry, I'll put the thing out there. The fact is Revelation, they ran Revelation here not too long ago. And Revelation was a crossover event where the characters are dramatically altered and different, and that's foreign to people. And every time they do that, they're very minimal events. They've done a bunch of different ones in recent years, within the last decade, a number of different little events like that where these X-Men characters, in particular, the X-Men characters are the ones that are coming to mind, specifically because of Revelation. And of course there was another one too, Heroes Reborn. That was just maybe 5 years ago, something like that. These characters, they're also drastically different from what the normal characters look like, and so that's one reason why sometimes these events don't work so well. The people aren't interested in them. Even some of the big ones, that have happened over the years, that you ask one loyal reader, and then, I didn't care for that. You ask another one, they did. And so, once again, everything in this business is entirely subjective, from whether or not the art is good, to the stories, to whether they're collectible, with any of it. It's all completely subjective, and so some people just don't like the stuff. And then, of course, there's with Reborn, where it's not so much a crossover event, but it was its own universe. But now they're bringing it was the Ultimate Universe, but they ended the Ultimate Universe, and it was really kind of a slap in the face to the fans. They didn't ask us, and they don't necessarily have to, but eventually, when you stop paying attention to the fans stop being fans, and you go out of business. I'm not, hey, it is what it is. People are going to do what they do, and a whole bunch of other cliches, but when you get the book and you read it and it's not good, you don't like it, you don't recognize the characters, it's not going to sell. And in this case, where it just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth, nobody cares. I can't sell these. I just don't have this really moving in the story. Revelation, the initial interest was big, but after the first issue, it just was gone. I guess nobody really jived with the characters. They didn't really care about them, and knowing that it's so often they're throwaways, like annuals. They end up being throwaways, and they end up having no pertinent. There's nothing that is lasting about them. Nothing changes. Nobody's introduced. The story is just kind of a throwaway, and that's too bad. Because then some of those great stories, every once in a while you produce a Gambit, right? Or it's Squirrel Girl? Is that one that's? I know Gambit for sure. Well, you can argue. There's the argument, but we know that on the newsstand version that shows and ultimately tells you the date in the barcode, that's the proof that was released first. So technically, that was it, X-Men number 14. Newsstand version is the first appearance of Gambit, and even though they wanted it to be the other way around, and he finally gets a cover, and everybody wants to argue about cameo this and cameo that. First appearance is a first appearance. A cameo is the appearance of somebody who's known, so it can't be their first appearance. It's just not. It may be a brief appearance, but that's not the same thing as a cameo. A cameo is a brief appearance by somebody who's well known. It's always been the definition of it, so it's always one of these weird things that people argue over in comic books, but whatever. You would think readers would know words, but it makes no difference, and certainly makes no difference in the subjective valuation of the things in the aftermarket. Just look at 180 and 181, and I'm talking about Incredible Hulk, obviously, and I'm talking about the cameo appearance of Wolverine in 180 and the first appearance on a cover 181. And so, just a little side note there on these things. So, because this one, I guess what I'm getting at is this Queen in Black looks better. It all looks better, from the presentation to the story to the way they're handling promoting it. It's all better. They're obviously they're trying to make a bigger effort in it, even bigger than the Doom Quest storyline that's going on right now. I think everybody's a little bit obviously Doom is the big thing in the Avengers storyline coming up. It's called Doomsday, and he's going to make an appearance in Spider-Man, and who knows what else by the time the Doomsday movie actually gets here. And so people are, they're watching out for Doom. But again, if you've never heard me say this, as a store owner, I know that there's no crossover. That the people who watch the movies are not the same people who buy the comic books. Now, the same people who buy the comic books are the same people who watch the movies, like 99% of the time. But it just doesn't happen the other way around. There are a lot of people who will watch a movie, but they're not going to come into the comic book shop and read the comic book. And so, if you get into a situation like they have have right now with Doomsday and people looking at it and expecting it to come out, the longer that they sort of drag it out, there's people that will no longer be interested. I've had enough. I'm tired of hearing about it. It should just be here. And then that's when people start to get the disappointment, and that's when the mouths start to run, and people start to talk about a movie being bad before it's even released, and it's all over right now, because obviously at SDCC this last weekend they just did the final trailer. They just released the final trailer for Doomsday, and everybody's commenting about it, and my only thought was, when I saw it, as shoehorn. It just seemed like they were trying to shove a bunch of stuff in there. That doesn't mean that they can't make it work, though. That doesn't mean that I don't want to see it. It doesn't mean that I assume that it's going to be anything better or worse than than it's going to be. I just want to see the thing and be entertained, and that's the same with all these books. This is all great. I love this appearance. They have this box of these books, and it's more like a pack of cards now, which was what they talked about, trying to sell comic books more like they sell baseball cards. That was the original intent of the blind bags. And I think that Marvel has finally gotten to that point where they're doing it, and they'll be able to do this again, and it'll be successful. But for one, the price point is right. It's only $8. You have a chance at all these rares. You're going to get a number 1. You're not going to get the number 2 and then have to go back and buy another number 1. There's not 3 other books in here that I don't want and don't care about, with covers that I may or may not like, and blank covers that only artists care about. There is Queen in Black number 1 in here, and it's going to have one of these cool covers. It may even have an even cooler cover. We don't know, but that's part of the fun. And part of the problem has been the packaging, the way they package these things. This one looks like it'll open more like a baseball card pack, but I'm not going to open that way. I have my scissors. I will cut the top off of it. So this is the setup, right? So we already know that Hela has taken Knull hostage, and ultimately he's free now, and because Hela and Tyre are trying to take away his power, and they want to sort of negate him, and they think, oh well, he's the king in black, let's push him into the light, and that should destroy him, and then we'll be able to claim his power. And so they claim his power. She's now queen in black instead of a king in black, and this is all about the balance of the universe, and there's a whole lot of storytelling that goes in there, but not really. It's just a typical sort of black versus white kind of black and white universe thing that is very easy to present, because you don't have to question gray areas. I guess in something like this, your gray area is Earth. This is the question mark, and that's why the battle takes place on Earth, maybe. Knull has been building up his army of light, and because he is now a creature of pure light and he can manipulate light, and it's great for him, because he still apparently has a sort of soul of black thing going on there. He still wants the void. He still wants to get rid of everything, because, well, he was the king of the void, and I guess he didn't enjoy it there so much. So he's not interested in being the light side. So now we have evil versus evil. And if you know Hela, if you know anything about Hela, you know that she's an Asgardian goddess. And the big thing is that Thor's dead in this timeline currently, in the current story, the current book, the current Thor book. He's dead, and the people don't know the gods. They don't know the Norse gods in particular, and this has allowed Hela to go on unnoticed for quite a bit of time. It finally happens. She finally gets noticed in this issue here. And it's by Beta Ray Bill. There's so many great characters in this particular issue and in this crossover. And this is one of the reasons I think the crossover will do really well, comparatively, certainly, to some of these others, because you will recognize all of these characters. You will absolutely recognize every single one of them if you know them. It's Wolverine, it's Spider-Man, it's Captain Marvel. They are who they are. There's no question about it. And so you're at least not distracted by some huge difference in this character that you're trying to understand. That's part of the reason that I think people want entertainment like this in a lot of cases. Not everybody, but in a lot of cases, is that it's simple. And not because that they're simple people. It's probably the opposite. It's I would believe it's the opposite, that they're not simple people, that they want entertainment like this to be simple because they don't want to have to think about it. They have life to think about. They have all these other things to think about. And yeah, they want, while they're reading it, to think about it, but they don't want to have to try to piece together a puzzle necessarily. That's something of a myth in sort of reading and having to picture, reading is supposed to be better for you than sort of watching something on TV or on the internet because you picture it in your mind. Well, no, you don't picture it in your mind. A picture is painted for you by the author, or the author's not doing a very good job. And of course, with these ones, comic books, we have the picture to go right along with the words. And let's see, are you ready? Let's check it out. It's a really good read. They're setting up a great battle. What is it? Oh, it's the all black. Nice. Very cool. I'm not a big fan of the blank covers, but there's something to be said about black covers because it takes different pens to write on them, and they don't do a lot of them. Yeah, that's really neat. I like it if they would do like DC does and put the one of the other covers underneath these. That would be such a cool thing to do, especially in these where you get a blank, having the cover under. What a neat idea, as opposed to just where DC has the cardstock image, whatever cover, and then the A cover underneath, which is awesome too, because then you get two covers for the price of one, basically. But let me show you something. It can be done, because it was done this week. Or was it last week? This is Shantae. It's swimsuit season, and so everybody's doing swimsuit covers. And then Marvel got back in the game this last year, and so they did another one this year, and it's doing really well. And everybody else does them. Street Fighter does them. Everybody does them. But here, so it can be done. That's the blank cover. That's the regular cover. And then you get into your story. And, you're already charging us more for the book because it's special. Then, build in the charge for the cover. I don't know. I just think it's one of the greatest things that DC has done. They obviously must think it too because they continue to do it. And I think they probably sell more B and C covers than they ever have. But at any rate, wonderful book that we're looking at here. You get your Knull, and they show you he's a being of light now. Even clearly says so, and he's playing around with light and using it to create things and determining their permanence, and talking even himself about destroying the things when he's done with them, because, well, that's what he do. And there you go, he creates seraphim, a little pet for himself, these angels, really, that he's calling them. And of course, seraphim actually is angels. That's the highest order of angels, the seraphim. That's in the Bible, or at least in the Catholic Bible anyway. There's these wonderful characters all throughout here, and they do this with all of them just to make sure that you get Tyre right here. He's a Norse god of war, and of course there's Hela, and they will continue as they do throughout, as they're introducing the various characters and talking about who's doing what. See, here you go. You got Captain Spider, also known as Toxin. Toxin is Captain Spider now. I did not know that. I don't follow the Spider-Verse too closely. Agent Anti-Venom, I did know that Flash was Agent Anti-Venom. Of course, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and Mary Jane, and I don't follow the regular Venom title, but I did pick up the all-new Venom title when they were running it out of 251 through 256 or something like that. I remember exactly what it was, but it was just a handful of issues, and it was where they introduced Mary Jane as the current Venom, and obviously that has to get through. They have to get through this battle here and get through all of this before that can be resolved. It may resolve as part of this. It's a big story. We're talking about 20 different issues or something, and that's not even including, I don't think, I'm trying to remember the image, and I couldn't find it again. I thought it was in the book itself where it showed, but there's at least 20 issues, and I don't know if that includes all the tie-ins or some of them, but it's I guess if you go back into what there was, there was a pre-comic book day book that came out that was well, I guess what is it? I'm sorry, it's Comics Giveaway Day now because they want to separate themselves from the failed corporation and everything associated with Free Comic Book Day. So Comics Giveaway Day, they distributed that the special, and it was and there was also, what else was there? Was Spider-Man. Oh yeah, just 1,000. There was a story in the back of that about Hela and the Queen in Black, and which I think it was probably just a piece of this is what it was. And then, of course, there's the other crossover stories as well. So there's a bunch of other things in there that all tie to this. And then, obviously, some of the other books that are running, like Thor, have a lot of influence and impact on this. There's Beta Ray Bill. This is what I was talking about. This is your Avengers team right here. You have Hercules, you have Wolverine, you have recognizable people, obviously Iron Man, Spider-Man. So you're not really looking at these guys as you do in some of these crossovers where you're wondering, who is this guy and what's he doing? This is all setting up. The Avengers find out what's going on. They finally are able to tap in. They know, they have an idea of what's happening, but they get a full picture of it here when Beta Ray Bill is able to sort of listen in on what Hela is watching. She's watching Knull. They're observing Knull, and he doesn't seem to know it. But she notices as soon as Beta Ray Bill sticks his face in there, and Beta Ray is the one that he's, oh, I know what we're up against. I know who this is. Let's do this. Avengers. What do Avengers say? They say assemble. Yeah. And so basically about the time that happens, the war starts and everything. So I really don't want to go too much further into the pages of the book, because there are some wonderful surprises, and I don't want to ruin all the surprises for you. It's a great read. It's familiar characters. It's a storyline that's been building up within the regular titles for a while now. You will enjoy reading it. You'll like the interaction of the characters. There's some characters you're familiar with that you may not know really well. It's everything it's supposed to be going into it, with a great setup at the end, a nice little surprise. Depending on how closely you pay attention to these things, some surprises are bigger than others. But the battle is on, and the battle between Hela and Knull, evil versus evil, is going to take place right there on Earth, and people like the Nova Corps and Nova Centurion aren't really going to be able to do much about it, it may seem. So it's going to take the Avengers and some magic and some luck, and what a great story that it's shaping up to be, so much better than some of these other things that they've done here recently. I'm not going to go any further in the book. I don't want to do that. It's worth the read. The bag is worth the buy, even for someone like myself who I don't have a particular use for blank covers, although I am an artist and I do have a pen that you would actually use to write on one. probably right here right here. Yeah, you could actually use that pen on this book. Not everybody has a white pen next to their desk, but I love the black covers, and I love the story in this, and I hope that you will too. And it doesn't matter if you buy a copy of it from me; just go out there and buy a copy of it from your local. Oh well, here we go. There it is. Don't miss an issue of Hela and Knull's Cosmic Collision. So it runs all the way through September, and then so let's see how many of them was. I thought it was at least 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So maybe it was 20 with all of the other stuff that's already happened, the Spider-Man 1000, a couple of the other things. But a great big crossover. Fun story shaping up. Will have ramifications presumably throughout the rest of the Marvel universe, and so really looking forward to it. Do me a favor, click that like button if you think somebody would enjoy this. Just one person, share it with just one person, and tell somebody about Comic Books Today. Tell somebody about Amazing Fantasies here in Topeka, Kansas, and stop by and see us sometime.